The question is that this House has considered World Antibiotics Awareness Week. Mrs. Theresa Villiers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and also I congratulate my honourable friend for York Outer for securing a debate on such an important issue this afternoon. As we've heard in that very powerful speech, antimicrobial resistance is a significant and increasing public health threat, both here and in the rest of the world. It's estimated that in the US and Europe alone, antimicrobial resistant infections currently cause at least 50,000 deaths a year. And as we've heard today, the UK government, I think we can be proud of the fact that it's played a world-leading role on this issue. David Cameron was one of the first leaders to put this issue firmly on the international agenda when he launched the review led by Lord O'Neill in 2014. But despite that determination and commitment, and despite the effective work that the government is already engaged in, and despite commitments from many other governments around the world, I'm worried that progress isn't fast enough given the seriousness of the risks that we now face. Antibiotics have, of course, saved countless lives in the 80 or so years since Alexander Fleming's historic discovery. Ever since their use became widespread in the 1940s, they've ensured that life-threatening infections can be treated effectively, and operations that would have previously been very dangerous can be performed safely. The use of antibiotics has probably, research indicates, extended our average life expectancy by around 20 years. The consequences of antimicrobial resistance are often portrayed as being a future threat, but the World Health Organization is clear that antimicrobial resistance is already detected in all parts of the world and is already causing serious harm. Across the member states of the European Union, it's estimated that AMR currently costs around €1.5 billion in terms of additional healthcare costs and productivity losses. But these rather sort of dry-sounding points can hide the scale of the potential horror that we are facing. The O'Neill review concluded that over 300 million people are expected to die prematurely because of drug resistance over the next 35 years. And as we've heard from my honourable friend, we could see a return to the days when straightforward operations, minor injuries could routinely result in death, and childhood mortality was commonplace. The Chief Medical Officer, Professor Dame Sally Davis, has rightly described AMR as a catastrophic threat. She's warned of a post-antibiotic apocalypse, where 40% of the population die prematurely from infections that we cannot treat. In her view, this could amount to nothing less than, quote, the end of modern medicine. So the worst-case scenarios are frightening, and it is therefore vital that we take action to address the threats that we face. We clearly need to improve infection control, not only in our healthcare facilities here, but around the world. And I would urge the Minister to make AMR and improving sanitation and infection control a priority for our overseas aid projects. We need to bring an end to over-prescribing of antibiotics in human medicine. That means doing much more to raise public awareness of this issue so that more people understand the consequences of demanding antibiotics from their GP, even when there isn't clear evidence that they would be needed or justified. It's imperative that we develop better and more accurate ways to diagnose conditions, so we no longer see so many instances where antibiotics may be used in cases of viruses or other conditions where they would have no effect. It is, of course, as my honourable friend has said, crucial that we take action to end the overuse of antibiotics in agriculture. According to a letter sent by senior medics to DEFRA in 2016, an astonishing 90% of all UK veterinary antibiotic use is for mass medication of groups of farm animals. In my view, as we reflect on reform of our agricultural support system, as we prepare to leave the European Union, the new system of farm support that we introduce must discourage the kind of intensive farming practices where animals are kept in overcrowded, unnatural and unhealthy conditions, leading to routine prophylactic use of antibiotics. We should be promoting much more health-oriented methods of farming. It is possible to maintain a successful farming sector and at the same time significantly reduce levels of antibiotic use, and we have already seen progress in that direction, particularly in the poultry sector. We do, of course, need to ensure that we give priority to this area of research in terms of government spending on research and development as part of efforts to expand the pool of effective antibiotics. And I also agree that we should seek a new approach to rewarding and incentivising medical research in this area as a further means to drive forward the search for effective antibiotics. And we need also to significantly improve our knowledge and understanding of the scale of antibiotic use and the threat posed by AMR, both in this country and around the world. The O'Neill report made 10 recommendations, and I would welcome an update from the Minister today on progress on delivering on the O'Neill report and the recommendations. I would also urge the Minister to make tackling antimicrobial resistance a key element of our public health policy, and I hope the Government will press NHS England and local CCGs and local authorities to make it a focus of their sustainability and transformation plans. Moreover, tackling AMR should be an important element of our foreign policy and our international aid budget, because it is self-evident that we cannot solve this problem without concerted action on a global basis. In conclusion, Mr. Davis, there are many impassioned debates in this House on different subjects, all of which no doubt seemed worthwhile and important at the time. But there can be few issues of such huge significance as the one that we are considering today. If future generations find their lives blighted by the post-antibiotic apocalypse predicted by the Chief Medical Officer, they will look back on debates like this, and their judgment will not be kind if we fail to take action. So I would say to the Minister and to each and every member of the House, we do need to take action now on antimicrobial resistance if we are to safeguard the health and well-being of future generations, and I would urge the Minister to take that message back to his colleagues in government. Thank you.
Miller-Freud.